out of the room. Well, New York Attorney General Letitia James walked off the stage mad after the state sues her to protect Donald Trump. That's right, folks. Missouri's Attorney General Andrew Bailey has been very active recently. In fact, he just filed a lawsuit against the state of New York in an effort to protect former President Donald Trump from being sentenced in what Bailey describes as a phony trial against Donald Trump. Now, to provide you guys with just a little bit of context, just a few months ago, there was a significant legal spectacle in New York involving former President Donald Trump. And let's just say that Judge Arthur Engoron and AG Letitia James were involved in this thing. Now, this event, it drew a widespread attention, a lot of controversy, a lot of heated opinions about, whether Donald Trump was a thief, whether Donald Trump was attacked by crooked Joe Biden's DOJ and administration. Well, we all know what happened here. And ultimately, Donald Trump got screwed. They attacked him. Basically, they wanted to bankrupt Donald Trump. Letitia James wanted to take Donald Trump's properties in New York City. She wanted to essentially steal Trump Towers from him. She wanted to bankrupt him, his family, his sons, Melania Trump, Barron Trump, Eric Trump, Ivanka Trump. She wanted to take the entire Donald Trump family down. And she managed to walk away with a $454 million lawsuit against Donald Trump. Of course, the judge on the case was placed, George Soros syndicate, basically. So here we are today. In response to Andrew Bailey's lawsuit, New York Attorney General Letitia James has made it very clear that she believes that Missouri's lawsuit is completely baseless. Yeah, of course she would say that, right? Now, Letitia James stated, quote, Missouri's lawsuit is based entirely on an ongoing criminal case between the Manhattan District Attorney and former President Donald Trump and doesn't present a controversy between sovereign states. Missouri claims are patently meritless, end quote. But let's actually hear from the Attorney General, Andrew Bailey, to provide a little bit more detail and context into his actions. Take a listen.
Well, our goal here is to eliminate this illicit witch hunt prosecution in New York that's hijacking a presidential election and injecting poison into our democratic process. Look, the state of Missouri has a sovereign interest in participating in a national election on equal footing with every other state, and yet a rogue prosecutor and collusive judiciary in the state of New York, again, have hijacked that process and deprived Missourians of access to a presidential candidate, and with a gag order, deprived Missourians of the right to hear from a presidential candidate. And courts should stay out of any decision, any case that's going to cause election interference. Those concerns are certainly heightened the closer in time we get to an election. And this is the heat of a campaign in the presidential election and the most consequential national election in this nation's history. So Missouri's fighting for its rights and its voice in the process.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's a nuanced view at this, but it's not unheard of. And could other Republican-led states or Republican or just other attorneys general jump on board with this?
Yeah, certainly that's true. And we've had multiple other Republican states join amicus briefs in support of this lawsuit. Our founding fathers contemplated that there would be legal disputes amongst the states. And so they codified an original action docket in the form of Article 2, Section 3 of the United States Constitution. And that's where we filed the case originally with the United States Supreme Court so that we could protect Missourians' rights to have access to and hear from a presidential candidate. And I'm proud to stand with other like-minded attorneys general. Look, New York wouldn't allow a red state prosecutor to arrest and jail Kamala Harris, so we're not going to let them do that to President Trump either. Missouri had a caucus, and there are numerous electors and voters who caucused in favor of President Trump and have the right to be heard in the process.
Yeah, it's interesting. We hadn't been talking much about this case. The sentencing is scheduled for September 18th, so we will certainly watch this. Last 10, 15 seconds, just your...
So basically, Donald Trump was supposed to be sentenced by, which judge was this? This was Judge Merchan who had effectively teamed up with DA District Attorney Alvin Bragg with the hush money trial. Anyway, the sentencing was originally scheduled for basically the middle of July. This has been pushed off until September. But ultimately, what we are hearing now is, number one, Missouri Attorney General, what is his name? Andrew Bailey will be going after Letitia James, and he's not going to be doing it alone. In fact, he's already indicated that there are going to likely be multiple additional states going after going after Attorney General Letitia James. And I really wouldn't be too surprised to see this team of attorney generals across the nation going after all of the different corrupt judges, district attorneys, and attorney generals in the near future.
Your quick thoughts.
Yeah, look, that case needs to be thrown out. It is replete with constitutional error. It's an illicit witch hunt. We know that. The goal was never to obtain a legally valid conviction. It was always to take President Trump off the campaign trail. We can't let that happen.
Attorney General of the great state of Missouri, Andrew Bailey, thank you for your time today.
Wow, this is huge, guys. This is huge. As you guys remember, this case here against Donald Trump, between Judge Arthur Engoron and Letitia James, we all remember all of the angry, very pissed off Donald Trump New York trucker supporters that indicated that they were going to simply boycott New York City because of this unfair treatment against a former president. Essentially, crooked Joe Biden leveraging the DOJ and lawfare to go after a political opponent. Well, this is a pretty significant update, guys.
Missouri's Attorney General Andrew Bailey has been busy. He just sued New York State to protect former President Trump from being sentenced in the phony trial against him. As you know, it was a spectacle in the state of New York a couple of months ago. New York Attorney General Letitia James has responded, saying Missouri's lawsuit is based entirely on an ongoing criminal case between the Manhattan District Attorney and former President Trump and does not present an actual controversy between sovereign states. Missouri's claims are patently meritless.
So, yeah. Now, here's the other thing. Letitia James, she's now helping Kamala Harris to beat Donald Trump, or at least she believes that she's going to be able to help Kamala Harris beat Donald Trump. New York Attorney General Letitia James told MSNBC anchor Joy Reid on Tuesday, just a couple of days ago, her singular focus currently is getting Vice President Kamala Harris elected as president. Now, we all know why she wants to do this. Her main focus, her aim has always been to take Donald Trump down. So what better way to try to take Donald Trump down than to attempt, in whatever power she has, to go after Donald Trump by helping his political opponent? Of course, President Joe Biden has resigned. Well, he didn't resign. President Joe Biden has stepped out. He has stepped down. He is no longer seeking re-election. And so now the real opponent for Donald Trump is no longer President Biden, but it's now Kamala Harris. So, of course, who do you think that she's going to go and attempt to help? Kamala Harris. But take a listen to MSNBC and their take on what's happening right now with Letitia James, Kamala Harris, and Donald Trump.
The Attorney General is a racist, Letitia James. We borrow money, we pay it back, and he gets sued by a political animal. The fascist and racist Attorney General of New York State, Letitia James. We have a racist Attorney General who's a horror show.
Oh, that's just some of the language, and not even the worst that Trump used in going after the prosecutor who proved to be quite adept at holding him accountable. New York Attorney...
Did she say quite a dick?
Attorney General Letitia James. She brought and won a civil fraud lawsuit against Trump, who was found liable for business fraud. It came with a penalty to the tune of $464 million, which is still accruing interest.
Which I should mention that, number one, this is really not even a crime. The real crime is the simple fact that Letitia James, Attorney General Letitia James of New York, has gone after Donald Trump for no apparent reason. In fact, she's going after Donald Trump because she knew that she could basically work with Judge Arthur Engoron to attack Donald Trump for, quote unquote, what was the term that they used? Inflated asset values when applying for loans and other types of financial benefits and whatnot. But here's the thing, guys. I mean, we've even heard from Deutsche Bank, which is one of the world's largest banks, which Donald Trump actually has done business with. I'm not sure if he still does business with Deutsche Bank today, but he has done business with Deutsche Bank. And my understanding is that they've already confirmed that Donald Trump is not in any wrong. Donald Trump has provided everything that they asked of him: documents, proof of assets. And when it comes to the valuations that the properties were assigned, Donald Trump's legal team provided them with estimates or appraisals. And if anyone has ever bought a house, you know that one appraiser is going to likely give one appraisal for property. Another appraiser is probably going to come up with a different number, a different figure. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump's lawyers and legal team have said, hey, here are the values of the properties. Here are the assets. But do your own due diligence. These are our numbers, but do your own due diligence. All of the banks that provided Donald Trump with loans and whatnot, they've already done their own due diligence. But Letitia James comes out of the woodwork and attacks Donald Trump for doing nothing that was any different than any other real estate investor, real estate developer, or likely even a home buyer has done in the past. At the end of the day, the due diligence, the onus is on the bank, and the bank got paid in full. So there's no case here.
And now this is how Trump's allies have reacted to Vice President Kamala Harris, both leading up to and following her becoming the new de facto Democratic nominee for president.
Are you suggesting she was a DEI hire?
100%. She was a DEI hire.
She does not speak well. She does not work hard.
She's a DEI hire, right? She's a woman. She's colored, therefore she's got to be good.
A lot of Democrats feel they have to stick with her because of her ethnic background.
So, guys, Kamala Harris, real quick in the comments, yes or no? Is Kamala Harris a DEI hire? Let me know, guys. By the way, if you haven't already, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share this video. Let's get the truth out here, folks.
I wonder what these two women have in common. I can't put my finger on it, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. Anyway, New York Attorney General Letitia James joins me now. I don't know. I'm going to think about it throughout this segment. And if you can think of what these ladies have in common, with the VP. Anyhow, what do you make of the way that Republicans have followed Donald Trump's lead and just the tone of their attacks, not just on you, but also on the vice president?
So we're about to hear from Attorney General Letitia James, and we really haven't heard from her in quite some time. But here she goes.
They're running very scared. That's what I think. They're running very scared, and they have nothing else other than racism and sexism. And so when you have nothing else, unfortunately, you just appeal to the racists among us, the white nationalists among us. That's all. The reality is that Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, is qualified, and oftentimes she's, underestimated, but she's an overachiever. And that's why I have wholeheartedly endorsed her. And it's
Holy cow. Attorney General Letitia James wholeheartedly endorses Kamala Harris for president of the United States. She calls her an overachiever, but I can't think of one thing that she's achieved since she's been vice president of the United States. Can you guys let me know in the comments if you know of anything that Kamala Harris has done over the last 3.5 years? If you can, let me know. Let me know, because I legitimately don't know what she's done. I forgot she was even in the office. I forgot she was even in the White House. Like, Kamala Harris has been so invisible during this whole time. It's been weird. It's been wild. It's been unusually quiet. Freedom, appreciate the big 5. Thank you so much for your super chat. Freedom says, did you hear Kamala? She said Trump is scared to debate. This has become a clown show, in my view, Mr. Yates. Well, this has always been a clown show, Freedom. I appreciate the support. Thanks so much for the super chat. This is 100% a clown show. Is it Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey circus level? We have yet to see how far they're going to go with these stunts, but they've been pulling some stuff.
Unfortunate that individuals are just amplifying racism and sexism, and it's totally inappropriate, and I will not dignify it with a response.
Indeed. And DEI is actually a good thing, whether it is DEI in its original form or duly elected official, which you are, Madame. And you've been a very successful statewide elected official. I mean, I think people need to understand being an attorney general means you were elected statewide, as was Vice President Harris when she was an attorney general. What unique skill sets does that bring in terms of holding Donald Trump accountable, both the way that you've done it in court, but then on the campaign trail? What do you expect to see in terms of the messaging about that?
So it's critically important. Oftentimes, attorney generals just don't get the attention that they deserve. And it's important that individuals understand, as we analyze Project 2025, we've been here before. 4 years ago, when President...
See, the key here, and I think Attorney General Letitia James really hit the nail on the head. Attorney generals really don't get the attention that they deserve, is what she said. See, this is what she's been after all along. She's been after attention. And she knew that if she campaigned in a state like New York on, I'm going to go after Donald Trump, which is what she said, I'm going to get Trump. That means if you vote for me, I'm going to go after Donald Trump. She has been seeking attention since day one. And she knew that Donald Trump was a very high profile individual who had a lot of real estate, had a lot of businesses and properties in the state of New York that she could put under threat. And she held true to her promise. Hey, you put me in office, I'll find something to stick Trump with. And she did.
When the former president was in charge, we had the New York State Attorney General, my office, we filed over 100 cases against Donald Trump. We were successful 80% of the time. And so his playbook, Project 2025, is something that we are familiar with. And so when individuals want to distance themselves from Project 2025, do not believe them, because in fact, 4 years ago, they litigated a lot of the same claims, and they're coming back. It's important also to understand that Vice President Harris, when she was the Attorney General, was responsible for going after banks who were responsible for the foreclosure crisis.
So Attorney General Letitia James is steadily trying to pin Project 2025 on Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump claims that he has nothing to do with Project 2025. He says that he doesn't know anything about Project 2025. Now, whether that, that's neither here nor there. The simple fact of the matter is that Attorney General Letitia James just admitted to the fact that she filed over 100 lawsuits after Donald Trump. That's like literally trying to you're just balling stuff up and throwing it against the wall just to try to see what sticks. And that is literally what she's been doing here.
She defended the Affordable Care Act. She went after major corporations that engaged in deceptive business practices. She went after those individuals who abused the law, both as it relates to women who engaged in sexual abuse of women. She went after individuals again who violated the criminal code, the civil code.
Now, these are the same individuals because Kamala Harris is going after the black vote, and according to people in Kamala Harris's campaign, if you're a black woman or even if you're just a woman and you happen to have a uterus, you should be voting for Kamala Harris. But if you remember, Kamala Harris was, one of I forget how many people of color she put behind bars for simple, issues like having a little bit of marijuana on them. And now it's legal if I'm not mistaken, it's legal in California. It's legal in like half of America. And yet she treated these crimes like they were murder or some type of crime that deserved some level of capital punishment. And it's like, no one's forgetting what you've done, Kamala. And no one has forgotten what you haven't done either. So Letitia James, she was the leading prosecutor on former President Donald Trump's Manhattan hush money case. House Republicans in June threatened to subpoena her for testifying on her politically motivated involvement in the case. Now, speaking about Harris's new presidential bid Tuesday, Letitia James, she is basically attacking Republicans for what she calls racist attacks against the vice president, Kamala Harris, and vowed to aid her push for the White House. New York Attorney General Letitia James has made it very clear that she is committed to helping Vice President Kamala Harris win the Democratic nomination, and then she wants her to defeat former President Donald Trump in the upcoming November election. Now, James, who previously won a civil fraud lawsuit against Donald Trump earlier this year, emphasized the importance of voters recognizing the existential threat that Donald Trump poses during her interview with Joy Reid. Now, when Joy Reid asked if she would consider a role in a potential Harris administration, Letitia James just responded basically saying, hey, I'm focused at this point in time on securing the nomination for Vice President Kamala Harris and then ultimately getting her elected. That is my singular focus at this point in time, and continuing to stand up for the rule of law and representing the citizens of the great state of New York as we do each and every single day. End quote. Now, you guys can go ahead and believe that if you want to, but this is what I think. I think AG Letitia James wants a seat with some clout and more attention in the White House. Can you guys imagine if you had Attorney General AG Letitia James as the Attorney General of the United States of America under Kamala Harris? Because I can guarantee you she would be moving herself to the top of the list if she can help Kamala Harris, camel toe, whatever Harris, get into the presidential office. If AG Letitia James can get camel toe Harris into the Oval Office, she will have quite the bit of notoriety and leverage to be able to say, hey, you know how I helped you get into the presidential office? You know how I helped you secure a lot of New York votes? You know how I helped you, with your campaign? Hey, don't you need a new attorney general for the United States of America? Don't forget me. Don't forget me when you're looking to secure that position. This could be very, very scary. So, yeah. And a lot of folks are saying, was this in the cards all along? Was this an internal coup executed against Joe Biden to get camel toe Harris into the office? Like, was this the plan all along? Let me know in the comments, guys. By the way, if you haven't already, please hit the like button. Make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. Share this video. Let's get the truth out here, guys. And I'm going to catch y'all on the next one.